Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. We are back with another Tisha Talks Live. Did you miss me? I know last week I was on vacation in Savannah, Atlanta, and Nashville, and today we are back with another special guest. So thanks so much if you are tuning into this off of LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. Of course, I'd love to know that you're in the audience, so make sure you drop a line. Say hello if you have any questions throughout the broadcast. Make sure that you ask those questions. And just thanks for being here. It's Happy Friday. Happy to be here with you. And before I bring my special guest, a couple of quick announcements. Of course, we've got Social Connect is coming back. It is August 2nd. We are going bowling because it is so dang hot in Arizona. So we want to make sure that we keep you cool. So make sure that you grab a ticket for that. That is on August 2nd. You can grab the link at bit.ly/Social Connect Phoenix August 2nd. And again, from 4 to 6, we'll be at Let It Roll in Phoenix. And of course, a big special thanks to our sponsor, Gateway Bank, James Christensen, and will actually be joining me next Friday for Tisha Talks Live. He is the Not Your Typical Banker if you follow him on LinkedIn. So make sure you tune into that. And before we do it, I want to give a little shout out and to Olenka Cullinan. Olenka will be joining us. But just before we start, a little promo video to get your Friday on right Well, welcome back, everybody, and thanks again. Little dance ditty for you on this Friday. And now to bring on my special guest, this is Olenka Cullinan. She is the CEO of iStartFirt. She's in here in Arizona, but right now she's up in Cali in the snow, up in Tahoe. Olenka, thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate you so much.
I love it. Thank you. Love the intro video. Go woman power. I love it. And I love all the pink, as you know. Thanks
I know. Well, you were going to love this. Let me put the brand up there too as we go. I'm learning all these little tricks and so forth. So I'm going to actually move us over if I can do that. I'll work on it. There it is. There it is. Right. We're going to switch places too. So thank you so much. And today we're going to be talking about how to make money and save time. And this is a topic that I can absolutely get behind. I shared even earlier today that you might be thinking we're talking about unicorns today because how can you possibly have more money, more time, and and not work as much, right? So we're going to be talking a lot about that today. And I want to give some shout outs to people who are tuning in. Royce Blake joining us. You made it back. Yes. Yeah. So I took last Friday off. I was telling Olenka here that I went to Atlanta and Savannah and Nashville in the matter of 5 days.
Full schedule.
Full schedule. Brought my sister along for the ride. We met up with some friends in Atlanta and just drove out to Savannah. So it was a lot of a road trip. But you know what? When you're with good people, I feel like the time just goes by so fast, right? Like, I had to drive some of that trip, and I told my friend, I was like, just sit in the front seat, sit in the passenger seat with me, and just keep talking to me, and this is gonna zip by. And we were in before you know it. I was like, this is why this is so much fun. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, good stuff. Well, I want to just give a big thank you to Olenka as well, because here's what I want to share. I have coached with a lot of people, and Olenka, if you remember this, every time I've coached with people, they've always told me that my dreams were way too small, or I was playing too small, or they tried to put their own dreams on me to say, why aren't you making millions of dollars each month? Why aren't you doing this? Why don't you want a personal trainer and be on the beach in Bali? And I just was like, okay, well, that sounds like dandy. But that's not exactly what I want my life to be like. And I love that you've said to me before, you're like, you design the life that you want and you create the life that you want. It's your life, nobody else's.
100%. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and thank you for coming along for the ride. I'm just humbled and so blessed to watch your journey and watch you show up the way you do. I absolutely love everything you stand for, obviously. But you bring up an amazing topic of how much in our culture we're pushed, right, by this sort of generic standards, the social media standards, the whatever, whoever standards those are that don't align with us, but we almost feel obligated to jump in and we have to hustle and grind. And me, I've talked about it many times, that concept of hustle and grind is not aligned and couldn't possibly be aligned with anybody. And really making money and having time is all about finding what works for you,
Mhm.
finding the life that you wish to live and the design you want to create, and then working backwards. Because a lot of times we just sort of coasting, right, and almost plug in the pieces in the into the what's available, right, instead of actually sitting down and saying what works for me. Because there are women who want to be stay-at-home moms and they should be allowed to do that. There are women who want to run small businesses, and there are men out there who want to spend more time with their kids. So to put us in some kind of pigeonholes that it has to be a certain kind of way, and now we have to all grind for 60 hours a week, to me that's what takes away from that whole design piece. And I stand very firmly on saying you have to execute the lifestyle you want to have, period.
Mhm. Oh, I agree. So I want to share something. When I was in Savannah, Olenka, I'm sitting there at breakfast in the hotel and I'm watching this commercial play. And it was a gentleman, Mike, I guess his name was. And he's like, you can reach me every single moment of every single hour of every single day. And the commercial was just, it was comical. He definitely had that humor factor, but I'm like, come on, Mike, really? Like he was
Yeah.
literally sitting in a bathtub answering his phone. He's like, you got me at a good time. And he's like
Yep.
flipping burgers on the grill and they're burning. And he's like, it's okay.
Yeah. Right.
I'm like, what's wrong with you, Mike? Like, you should have some
Yeah.
boundaries in place. You shouldn't
Right.
be accessible 24/7 all the time to every
Absolutely not.
single person. And I know I was that person. I'm sure you've worked with a lot of people who are like, I have to be on, I have to be
Mhm.
there. It's
Mhm.
important that I'm always available. And I'm
Mhm.
like, your time is valuable.
100%. And I've shared a little bit of my story. More than that, I grew up with a mother who was like that, right?
Yeah.
I was 5 years old, and I've shared this many times in my talks. When I wrote a letter to Santa at 5 years old asking for my mom because she
Mm-hmm.
was never around and available. And she had that grind and hustle culture instilled deeply into her. And how many times all of us feel guilt, right? We feel pure guilt when we try and talk about things that are important to us and how we want to build out time. And I'm a big fan of execution, but I'm also a big fan of working smarter, not harder. And if you actually position it correctly, if you actually start, I'm a productivity junkie. I've probably done every productivity program under the sun, but I truly believe that and I'm going to say this, and I hope those of you who are listening are really going to like, if you walk away with anything today, this would be the line is the truth is that the amount of time you're spending on what you do will never equal the amount of money that you're making. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
say this again. The amount of time that you're spending on building your business, your career, your lifestyle, your, companies will never equal the amount of money. Because I've met and now I've worked with companies from, I don't know, 150,000 all the way to upwards of 100 plus million. I am telling you right now, the amount of time has to be smart. The time is your most valuable resource. And if you just figure out how to deal with it correctly, you outsource and delegate properly, you can build the most extraordinary companies on the minimal amount of time. And I've been around those people and I'm around those people all the time. So that hustle and grind culture that's being fed to us, it's not necessarily the truth. And I would say it's not at all the truth. It's all about valuing your time, like you're saying.
I think too that, I mean, I want to piggyback on what you said earlier too, that I think a lot of us are in this, we have to scale, right? We're
Mhm.
always in this scale mode. We're always thinking bigger, better, faster,
Mhm.
whatever that is. And I know for me, like, I know what I want. I know that I like being a solopreneur. I don't want to have employees. I don't want to have a big skyrise in Phoenix and have 500 people working for me. And I think that some people, they love that. That's what they want to get to. But I think it's also just being honest with yourself of what do I want in my life, right? And you can scale, but you can scale at a level that is comfortable for you, that feels right to you. And you hit the nail on the head when you said alignment. And alignment is actually my word of the year, Olenka. So I have to be in alignment with what I'm doing or I won't do it.
Yep, I agree. 100%, Tisha. And what you said too is, it's what is comfortable for you, right? What are you scaling for? What is your goal? Because you can, I always tell people, not all growth is great growth. And
Yeah.
I'm a growth connoisseur. I stand for it 24/7. But I'm telling you right now, not all growth is good growth. And you know that, and I know that, and we've all been around people because yes, it's true. You can have a high rise and you can have the employees, but if it takes away the very purpose of why you started it in the first place, and if you wake up and you're stressed out, burned out, you don't know anymore why you're building this all in the first place, that is not a way to live your life. I mean, and that's where I think you absolutely were spot on when you said you have to figure out first what is that you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like with you were very clear. You knew the lifestyle you want to have. You want to, the time you want to spend on scaling and growing your business, but you also are super, super diligent and laser focused on spending time with your family.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we start something and we're building and growing something and we're passionate about it, we lose the very purpose behind it, right? We lose the family connection. We lose being able to attend our kids and our loved ones' events because we're so in that, I am there, I'm laser focused, nothing exists. But time goes by very, very quickly, right? There's not one person, I'm pretty sure, on their deathbed. And I used to work in a nursing home in my college life. And I can tell you, during my college years, I probably met some of the most amazing people in their last days of their lives. And not one of them said, I regret not working more. Not one. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
There was a movie years ago, and you might have seen it. I think it was called The Intern. And it was with Anne Hathaway. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
So it kind of reminds me of what you're saying here. Of she's someone that started this clothing business, right? I believe she had a clothing business, and she grew it because she wanted that. She wanted that life, and now she's being thrust into employees. And if you recall the first scene of the movie, she's actually sitting there like the customer service rep because she really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
And now she's like CEO, and people are like, you're not a good CEO. Like, you got to get back to what you really love about this business.
For sure. For sure. And I mean, I do believe exactly what you're saying is that part of learning and growing comes with understanding what are you good at? Like, what are your strong suits, right? Because I believe sometimes in building the business and like in that pursuit of money, it's always the next big threshold. It's the next big KPI. It's the next big goal. And we literally stop enjoying the process. We stop enjoying what is we actually are good at. And we hang on so tightly to not delegating things that we know we're not good at. And I've spoken about it many times, right? I speak all the time to the fact that I'm dyslexic in math. Doesn't prevent me from counting money, but I also don't do accounting for my business, have never done it. I have always outsourced that because that's not what I'm good at. And I do believe that if you only focus on achievements and you're literally in this achievement syndrome state, you lose the process and you spend much longer time in your life on actual process of building versus, the actual thresholds that you hit. And if you don't recognize your successes, if you just, if they're just another milestone, you literally you can never really attain that level of happiness because you're constantly going after the next big achievement and you don't even enjoy the journey that you're on.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see it. Like, I'm wearing a little necklace. I bought this in in Georgia, and it was the last one. I was like, I'm getting it. And it just says, enjoy the journey. And I'm
wow.
I have to have this. I'm like, I think it was meant for me to see because I'm like, I'm buying that and I'm going to wear that because like you said, enjoying the journey. And you've just hit on so many great points about, making sure that the tasks that you're doing align with who you are. And if you don't need to be doing it, don't do it. So I know Royce just put up a comment that says, ask yourself, would this task make a difference? Great question. And then Brian, thank you so much for being here, Brian. A book I found valuable in this topic is Hustle and Float. I like that. I like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, when I started Tisha Talks Live a couple years ago, my graphics were horrendous. All of it. Because I was doing it myself. And I'm not a graphic designer. I think it looks good in my head, but then when I actually put it on Canva or whatever, I'm like, oh, this is crap. This is crap. And so one of the best things I did, and you know him because you work with him too, shout out to Todd Westra, is I started hiring his VAs and I said, do everything that I don't want to do. And they were like, great, we will. Yeah. So I got my time back because I know my lane is being out and being in front of people and speaking and networking. And that's what gives me the high. That's what I love. So
absolutely. Well, and yes, exactly. It's constantly realigning that purpose, right? You know what your purpose is, which is networking, which is connecting people, which is bringing people together, and you do that best. And yes, I cannot agree more. It's gaining your time back. And I talk about that all the time with all my clients and companies I work with. It's not magic. It's you sitting down and getting very, very honest with yourself and looking at your calendar and saying, even if, going back to the question or the comment we just had, even if it does make a difference, could someone else make a better, bigger difference with that than me? I'm ruthless with my time. I look at my calendar every Sunday night with, again, the purpose of what else can I remove from my calendar, what else I can outsource, because I truly believe that any leader in their life should only have 1, 2, 3 vital functions. And this is where we need to focus. Everything else, and we're good at, most of us are type A personalities. Most of us can do really anything. It's like you said, the graphics weren't great, but I was still doing them and they were working. And most of us are like that with our business, right? We can really swing everything, but it doesn't mean we should be doing that, because in my opinion, the most important thing you can do is gain your time back. And so even if you're good at everything, you shouldn't be great at everything. And that's where you need to outsource that. You need to get ruthless with yourself, honest with yourself, and say, what are my 3 vital functions that I can focus on? 1, what you mentioned, give me the biggest high. And 2, bring the most ROI for me personally as a human being and for my business. And I know what my vital functions are. Sometimes leaders don't know them because we are those overachievers. We all think we have super case and we go out there and we can conquer and do everything. But I really, really invite all of you, if you're listening today, go back and get very honest with yourself. Even ask your team or ask people around you who've known you for a long time. If you're a solopreneur, and ask them, say, what are the 3 things that I do best? And get back to that.
Yeah, there was a good question that a friend of mine asked me years ago that just said, okay, if you could only be doing 1 or 2 things during your day, what are you doing? And that really gave me that perspective. And I mean, immediately I said, speaking and mentoring. And she's like, then stick to it. Speaking and mentoring, graphic design, accounting, all the little admin tasks. You don't need to be doing those things. Like, just focus on the things that you want to do. And that's how you get your time back. Because now you're filling your schedule with what you actually love. And I say this, and I've said this, Olenka, that last year, my biggest success story was actually surpassing my income goal and taking 2 months out of the year to just be present with family, to go to Costa Rica, to go on more trips. Like, I traveled more last year than I have ever in 1 year, and meeting more people. And I was like, oh my gosh, this actually is the secret to success, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's like I say, the more you progress and once you start to become aligned in your career, in your business, and in your lifestyle, the question is really, how many no's are you saying? It's no longer how many yeses you're saying. It's really how many no's you're saying, because you should be focusing on the no's. You have opportunities, and I know you do, and I know most of the leaders that are listening to this, we have opportunities coming to us daily, right? If people give us offers, people want us to be a part of events and things, and be mentors and be present in their lives, and this is how we get robbed of our time. because we just say yes to everything, and before we know it, we're burned out. We're trying to, squeeze our loved ones into, and they get what I call the leftovers version of us,
Mhm.
because we have nothing else to give. But really, the focus here needs to be exactly what you said. How many no's can you say? How many things you love you can put on your calendar? So it's super streamlined, it's super smart, and very, very productive. And activity is not productivity, and you've been in those situations, right? I call them death by coffee, where you know you can put 55 coffees on your calendar, but that's not always the people you need to meet with. And again, you have to be honest with yourself. Nobody else will be able to sit down and really have that conversation with you, but you need to look at your calendar and actually say, okay, what am I spending my time on? Where does majority of my time during the day go? And am I really gaining my time back and achieving the ROI? And I mean, thank you for sharing your example. I've had the same exact situation 2 years ago, where I took that massive leap and I said 80% of no's in my life. And it was the year I made the most money. I spent the most time with my loved ones. I did the most travel. And, it's astounding how much time you can gain back when you start living it this way. Yeah.
Mhm. And I feel like I've been pretty bold. I think you'll be proud of me in our next mastermind session of just saying no to a lot of things. I actually just let a client go because we weren't in alignment and opened it up for more things. And I'm like, okay, well now I can focus on the things that I love to do. I can get back to those things too. So like you mentioned death by coffee. This is why I do happy hour, because I'm like, hey, everybody loves happy hour. We can all get together in one area. So next month I fly to Dallas with my son. I'm so excited, Olenka. It's a mom-son trip, just the two
Aw,
of us.
that's
And
amazing.
I sent a message to all my Dallas folks on LinkedIn and I said, hey, you want to do happy hour? Because I will not do coffee with every single one of you. I can't stand coffee. Decaf coffee is what I'm drinking. But I'm
Yeah.
like, let's just do happy hour. So there's like, I don't know,
Mhm.
6, 7 people that are coming out for happy hour. I'm like, that is a much better use of my time.
100%.
And you all get to connect because you're probably not
Absolutely.
connected either. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, right? It's that hunting versus fishing, right? Where we can bring people to us, put them in touch, and you are the master connector. So for you, it's even more in alignment because you do that so well. You put people in the rooms and give them opportunity to get to know each other. They get to know you, and everybody gets to actually co-work together, collaborate, get to know. And exactly like you say, and I love that. I love the idea of happy hour versus coffee for sure. Yes, I'm a big fan of always, how do we get in front of most people in the shortest amount of time and still keep that connection going? And you are the person who talks about connection, and I use you as an example all the time because I get, as you can imagine, and you've seen that too, we do get pushback, right? Because culturally, again, we're
Right.
getting always pushed that the connection has to be there, the culture has to stay there. And you can absolutely connect with multiple people and have them all connect and have them all be very much aligned and get to know each other in a short time when everybody's in together, like you said, at the happy hour, which is a much better, again, use of your time than one-to-one coffees. And not to say, of course, everything, there's a time and place for everything, and there are times when we do our one-on-ones, but again, you have to be very aligned with who you're bringing, who those people are that you're giving them your time to. Because yes, I love the fact that you again are doing it with your son, so you're so deliberate. I mean, that's one thing like I absolutely adore about you, is how intelligent and intuitive you are about finding time with your family, but
Mhm.
also building business, which should be this way, right? The business should never be, it's not, you're not designed to live your life for your business. You should have a lifestyle, and your business should fit into that, or your career should fit into that. And that's where I feel like we have so many missed opportunities, because we get caught up in the drive again, where we just feel that we have to build and grow and grind instead of having the lifestyle we enjoy. And I knew that very early on. I knew I'm not a cubicle kind of girl. I did it one time in my life after college for 1 week. I started on Monday, quit on Friday. No regrets. But again, I have friends and people who love that. They love the steady. I absolutely think what aligns with you. And I have so many friends who are in amazing careers. They love their 8 to 5. They love people they work with. They love the steady process. and I support that. But again, know what works for you. Don't push yourself just because the culture dictates you a certain kind of way. Find what aligns with you and build it that way.
You know this. My schedule is 10 to 3. I'm a
Yeah.
10 to 3 kind of girl. I don't want to do things before 10 o'clock, and I've got to be done by 3 because kids are off. I'm now heading to physical therapy appointments with my son. I've got 2 kids in club soccer. I'm traveling like crazy. And so, like, I just made a hard decision with a client too. And I said, I'm giving you these hours. And if we can't come to terms on what this looks like, then I won't take it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But that's because you're so set on what you want your lifestyle to look like. And you see, I would say mentally, and that's where, as a leader, some of the personal growth and development will have to come into play,
Mhm.
because you will have to be laser focused and aligned. Again, I'm using your word, aligned on what is it you want to build, right? Like, I'm in Tahoe and I'm perfectly okay with it. My daughter's with her dad. I'm on vacation. I work. This is not work really, but I put in some work hours when I feel like it. I'm out there on the lake when I feel like it, and I'm okay with that. This is what I want my life to look like. Some people may need, like I said, the environment and the steady and some of the more, rigid parameters and discipline. I'm not that kind of person. I'm very fluid for me, and that works for me. And so if you're so sure as a leader what is that you want to build, I just don't want people to fall into this trap that there is no balance, right? And I've seen that. I've talked to leaders about that all the time, how difficult it is to basically change someone's mind that the only time you can have work life balance is if you're ready to retire, and that is not the case. And millennials nowadays get criticized a lot for this, and Gen Z's do too, but I am so proud of them. I'm personally so proud of them that they're starting to figure out how to build an aligned lifestyle. And if they work from the beach, or if they can work from the office 3 days a week and work the other 3 days from the beach, I'm fully on board with that. Fully on board with that.
Yeah, I want to give some shout outs to some comments we've have. Royce, of course, saying love death by coffee. Who doesn't love
Thanks,
that?
Royce.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. You
thanks,
can even
Royce.
have death by, virtual coffee.
It's true. Yes. Yes, death by Zoom for sure.
That's that Zoom fatigue. Dwight Lamb, thank
Yes.
you so much for tuning in. He says, you both are awesome. Thank you for sharing the values that matter most.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I mean, I have a shirt that I got a long time ago that says hustle. And I'm tempted to wear it and just throw big X's on it. I'm like, I don't want to be in this hustle
Mhm.
nonstop. Can't take, I'm a like a incremental sleeper. I think I've mentioned that to you, Olenka. Like I sleep
Mhm.
for a couple hours, I get up, I sleep for a couple hours. And so by 3 o'clock, I'm like, I need a nap. I want to go just take a nap. So I don't schedule anything that time either. So I'm probably just
Yeah.
taking a little nap, like a little power nap. But that's how my schedule is. Like that's how it works for me. And
Yeah.
I think the hardest part, because I work with clients now, and I know we're running out of time here, but they have these big, hairy, audacious goals. They want to hit this money amount, right? They're
Mhm.
trying to figure out the how, but they're like, I don't want to do the work. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well,
Yeah.
how do you break that to someone of, okay, well, you want to hit this, but you're not willing to do the things that you need to do to get there. That's
Yeah, yeah. The work, yes, the work has to be there. And this is where I tell people all the time, don't be confused. When I talk about alignment and when I talk about gaining your time back and figuring out your schedule, that means you still go in and put laser focused hours. And that means you still go in and do all the things you don't want to do because they're not maybe sexy or exciting or enticing. Business and careers are not always about enticing things, right? Sometimes we all have to do things we don't love and get on the sales calls and figure stuff out and build systems and processes and foundations. So when I say, aligned work, that still means that you have times, just like I have times when I get up, I turn off I put my phone on airplane mode, I sit down in front of my computer and I laser focused, go in deep dive work mode and I execute. The difference is you execute with a purpose, with a very clear goal. What is that coming out of that? And again, it's what you spend your time on, like you said, right? If you know where you bring the most ROI for your company, that's where you spend 90% of your time on, really.
I agree. I laugh because, I think that people looking from the outside in, like I know my son, I'll just share this. Like, I host my social connect events here, and he's come to my events with his friends, and his friends are like, your mom's like celebrity. Like, look at her. She's just like has a drink in her hand and she's walking around talking to people. And my son's like, that is the best job ever. And I just laugh because I'm like, you have no idea the steps that it took to get here and the time it takes to get to this moment. Like, you see this, but I'm still working. Like, I'm still working the room. I just happen to do it in a way that, again, aligns with my values and what I want to do. But I just laugh at that because I think people have this whole idea of, you made it, you didn't have to put in the work. And I'm like, oh no, there was work.
Yeah.
There was definitely work. There's always work. There's always work.
Absolutely.
Well, Olenka, I want to be conscientious of your time because I know you're in beautiful Tahoe and probably going back to the lake. So tell us, how do people find you? And I know you've got your Live for Living mastermind that you are also having. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. So the quickest way to connect, everything in my life is under my name, Olenka Cullinan, or iStartFirt. So you go to iStartFirt.com and pretty much see all the programs I offer, whether it's company trainings or one-on-one clients. But yes, my biggest drive right now is to grow my Live for Living Mastermind, which is a 12-month container for women. Sorry, men, all the love. But I do believe that women do need those rooms full of other driven, ambitious women that also allow them to align, in the words of Tisha, to align with each other and align with their goals. So Live for Living is really designed for that. It's a 3-hour a month group coaching session plus quarterly executive session with me. Plus we have mentors who come in into our group sessions to really educate women on everything from, how do we become better moms, women, humans, to marketing and legal and every aspect of business. So if you guys just go to liveforliving.com, or actually easiest is iStartFirt.com, reach out to me on Instagram. I'm happy to answer any questions, whether it regards to growing and scaling your business or your company. I'm always happy to support. And Tisha, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. I know we have another comment that came through again from Royce saying, Olenka's so impressive.
Thank you, Royce. I appreciate it so much.
I have to agree. I think becoming part of your mastermind last year was like the best thing that I ever did for myself. So a little shameless plug. As I shared earlier, I've worked with so many coaches and I was like, you really think that that's what I want? So thank you for holding the space, Olenka, of letting me tell you, this is my goal. It's not everybody's goal. I mean, and I know like in our group, we have so many women reaching for millions. And I think some are just like, I just want to have a really good life and do what I want. And I love that you just let us all have that same space of do what you want. I'm here to support whatever it is that you want for your life. So thank you so much for being on today on your vacation. And I love this topic and so many great clips that I jotted down. And if you're watching the replay, definitely connect with Olenka, check out her mastermind and connect with her. So thank you again. And we'll be back next Friday, everyone. We'll see ya. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Bye.